I wrote a line that your kind of brand belief is that no one should be so busy that they can't eat a great meal.
And we could even just do a live stream of when we're dropping these things off and see the great people.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a PR angle here which is great, which is you ending up on the news saying, this is what we're doing, we're feeding our frontline workers. The one thing that news organizations are desperate for, and Scott probably has a better insight to this than I would, but they're really desperate for feel-good stories at a time which has very few.
Business is that we've got this personal touch, right? So that whenever somebody deals with you guys, so if it's for a big, no matter how big the event is that they're going to be dealing with you, and you're going to be dealing with Mike, and that you're going to have this personal connection. And so one of the things I wanted to say to kind of piggyback on what Mark just said is to really focus on the relationships that you already have, and to really kind of double down on the fact that you've got these amazing connections with people, that people trust you, that people like you, no one like and trust you. It is, exactly what you need to be able to put things forward well with the business, and to really leverage that. And then to also, if you do run with this frontline worker things and whatnot, to really start to make those strong relationships with the hospitals, with the people within the hospitals, with the people in PR, and to really have that be one of the things you focus on, and that will also kind of bleed through into the PR, into the brand story, into getting kind of putting you in the public eye in a way that people really start to be enamored with it.
Yeah, Denise, do you think that, like, the hospital, helping out on the front line, feeding the frontline workers, do you guys not think, I'm not trying to play negative Nancy, but that feel good story has kind of passed? Because, it's been 7 to 8 months of COVID now, and I've seen them follow, on social media daily, and, this caterer is going here, this restaurant is going here. I think that will still have the same effect. It's, to get the press specifically. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I think these days, again, like you said, like any positive thing is great, and there are so many other items in the media right now kind of vying for our attention that aren't great. So things that are positive, I think the media is probably still very hungry for that. And that you can leverage that. You can find out, right? This is kind of part of the creativity and kind of what Creed said in terms of this beta testing.
Yeah.
You'll see, and then if that's not the case, then you can potentially see how you can adapt and move to get it so that the message or the brand story does align with something that the media is hungry for and that they can pick up on.
But there might be two twists to make it newer. One twist is, as part of your subscription to your service, I'm going to check out or check off another $10 to help you go and feed frontline workers. That it's not just you, you're enabling people like me and people who love great food to be able to share that with people in need. And while there's no caste system in frontline workers, maybe teachers are the ones to be focusing on right now, because kids are back at school and they're all facing some unique challenges.
And I think the extra add to this as well is people who maybe have been doing this in hospitals have been going in and giving people a wrap for their lunch. You're giving them a frozen dinner for the whole family. Yeah. You're not just feeding your friends, you're feeding your friends' whole family. That's a much bigger thing. For me to feel like I fed my family and I fed a frontline worker's full family, there's such a big warm feeling to that. I think it's way more value that you're bringing here than others may have bought in the past.
I've got a slight variation on this, and first let me say that I wouldn't have thought of this guy to begin with, but now I think I've got something that might even create a multiplier. One of the things that Ron pointed out early on is that the struggle is selling one meal at a time or one family at a time. And we're focusing on the essential workers, is in essence what we're saying, these frontline essential workers. Well, there are a lot of businesses right now where people are coming into the office. There are a lot of businesses where they have employees who are at home, and those are their essential workers. And whether those people are working in the office or at home, those people also need help. So to package this from a marketing standpoint as, look, you need to help two sets of essential workers. One, the families who work for you, and second, these teachers or hospital workers who we've all been caring about. And here's a way that for X dollars per family meal, we deliver to both. And so you don't even break it out as, here's how much it is to the first responders, here's how much it is for your family. It's just, for this much for a family of 4. And guess what? If they only have 3 people in the family, they'll have leftovers. Like, we don't need to worry about that. But now we get it so the business says, wow, look at that. I'm doing something that's good PR, and I'm doing something that's good for appreciating my own employees. And you can structure something with them where you say to them, look, once a week, we deliver this to your office. And then let them figure out what percentage of their employees actually are there and take it with them, and how they deliver to the other people. Because the logistical nightmare for you is, how do I deliver to 50 different locations? And if you can figure out how to deliver to 4 locations a day, you can probably handle that.
Yeah.
So we've actually created a bit of a prescription here as to what your business needs to consider next. And so we have some clear, but I want to ask you guys what your questions are to drill down on that from our experts. So from what you've heard, and it sounds like you're latching on to some of these ideas, what other questions do you have that you can leverage the expertise of our experts on right now?
Oh, geez, I feel like you guys have outlined our entire business plan for us already. I mean, just drilling into some of this, let's say you're a law firm who we used to do work for. And they're the kind of people who, they've got the gym, they've got the kitchen in the place, the law firms that people seem to live 25 hours a day at, the lawyers never go home. But now all their staff is home. So I'm approaching you, and I'm going to say this. What's my in? Who do I talk to? Because this is the part that we're unclear on, the corporate structure. How do I attack these law firms and get my foot in the door?
Well, personally, I would look at HR. They usually take stock of all the amenities that are available to their employees, and I'm sure they have employees who are now working busily at home, long hours, and they say, how can we take care of them? So this may be a solution that fits very neatly there, but I would certainly look into HR in the various companies that you already have relationships with. If they're not the person, they'll know who to talk to.
Mm-hmm. And do you do database marketing?
One of the things to think about here is the messaging is not, hey, do you want to buy these deals? The messaging is, look, we're hearing from businesses like law firms, like banks, who A, want to do something to help the first responders, but they also know that their own essential workers are really overworked, are coming home, are stressed. How are they going to create something that's a high nutritional density, high quality meal for their own families? And we've come up with a strategy where you can, for your entire organization, work with us to deliver that level of quality for them and the frontline workers at the same time. And as part of that, we deliver a video showing this being delivered to those frontline workers at the hospital or the school that you can share on social media, et cetera, but also know that your own employees, your own partners, your own associates are taken care of. And what I would do is I would pick 2 or 3 industries. So it might be law firms, it might be banks, it might be financial services companies where they can, pick those niche areas. Once you figure out how it works for one of those businesses, just rinse and repeat.
So, and I would add to that the HR companies that are coming to me are saying, we want to invest in our workers because they are not faring well, and we want do not want to have attrition from mental health issues. So if you can tie that to a return to them, and we're going to contribute to their well-being, that if you you can find research on what are stressors to families, and what's for supper will be very high on that list. You can back that up with support. You can back it up with your own stories of your own families, your own pain pressure. But you will find research that says that is a pain point that if that could be solved, that they would love. And I think you could also tie it into the nutritional piece. What we know about mental health and good nutrition is absolutely something that can be researched and marketed as part of making an investment in their well-being.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just kindness. It literally is an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think they need to make the leap to showing the business, right? Like yes, we need to take care of our people. It also has business ramifications when we don't. Right?
Yes.
And the line that I thought kind of communicated that was, when your employees leave the office, their work is not over. In fact, it's just begun. Yeah. Because once I leave the office, now I got to get a kid from daycare, and I got to make a meal, and I got to shop, and I got all that stuff. That's going to increase my stress. It's going to decrease my productivity. I'm going to show up at work the next day more tired. Here's one simple thing you can do to help your employees when they leave the office, so that they're more productive when they come back. There has to be a business case here.
And Ron, building on that, it could be, and look, for some businesses, they feel it's important to do that for their employees one night a week. Others tell us they want to do that twice a week. That's totally up to you, whether you want to do it once a week or twice a week.
So let's hear from Mark, and then we're going to shift to our last part with Matt and Mike.
Yeah, so in my experience, the most daunting part of this can often be, how am I going to get in contact with these people I need to talk to? So just a little bit of intelligence tradecraft for you, is you never go and try and talk to the general, you talk to the people on the ground, because you know them, like they're your friends. Your friends are probably working in these organizations, or you literally go into the building and you hang out in the foyer, or you go up to the front desk and you say something like, so I'm just curious, if I wanted you to be given a dinner for free by your organization, who would I have to talk to? Yeah? Because sometimes they go, well then that's my friend, so-and-so. Like the connections are already there, and you just need to posit this idea to the person who's going to receive it, and often intelligence-wise, they will take you to the person you need to know. So always start the intelligence process with the people that you already know, the people you're closest to, and the people you perceive sometimes have the least power, because actually they have connections with the people who will get you there, and they want it, so they'll be motivated to give you the intelligence. That's what you want, is motivated people who want to give you the intelligence because they're going to get something out of it themselves.
All right, I think that is a lot of food for thought for our business owners. I'm sure you hear that all the time.
First time.
Thank you to our experts, and thank you to Matt and Mike.
Yeah, so we're going to do something. We have a few minutes left. I'm going to ask Matt, and Mike can look on virtually. So I proposed the challenge yesterday to No Small Feast that we have our experts coming in. Could he throw something together really quickly to see, and as an option, to taste, as an option? So I'm going to ask Matt to just very quickly tell us what it is and what the yeah, and Denise and Ian, yes.
Unlucky.
We'll just... If you subscribe, I'll send this to you.
Business is about showing up, my friends, and those that show up get to eat.
Right. For you, there is no small feast, but for us, we have a small feast.
So tell us about the dietary restrictions really quickly.
Okay, so first off, this is one that we're playing around with, probably going to be on our menu. It's just our simple ricotta gnocchi and a truffle bolognese. We had this tested out, so it was a really easy challenge when Jamie threw it to me. But this would be a great example, because I came into the kitchen this morning, and in 15 minutes I had thawed out the sauce, given the gnocchi a quick blanch, and I was ready. I could have served it. That's enough time to get your kids into a high chair, change into some track pants for the evening, and you're good. Right now it's comfort food time. So as far as dietaries, anybody have a problem with dairy, meat, or gluten?
Nope.
No? Anything else? Then I think we're good. can I just?
Yeah, so what I would suggest, just because we're emphasizing the COVID nature of it,
Yeah.
to have the mask on, if it's
Absolutely,
okay.
yeah.
And why don't you do that? Why don't, as you're doing that, we only have a few minutes, is if there's any questions that anybody has about the meal,
Yep.
and then we'll cut from there.
Sounds good.
Okay, so go ahead and do your thing.
Sign me up, by the way, for a subscription. I'm already sold.
So Jamie, how long do I need to wait for it to show up at the door? I'm looking outside and I haven't seen the truck show up.
Well, you're in DC, right? DC DoorDash.
I don't think it gets through customs.
You know what? Let me tweak that. Why don't you explain to us what you're doing?
Oh, okay, sure. So if you were doing this at home, all you have to do is take the gnocchi, which we would give to you frozen, drop it in a pot of boiling water. We like to give it a really quick flash in a pan just to get a little bit of crisp to it, and I didn't want to set up a whole stove here, so we're going to do one pot wonder, which that's what people want when you're cooking at home, right? So I'm just getting my pan hot. I've got a tiny little bit of oil in here, and we don't have the magic of TV, so let's all just count to 20 until this pan is nice and hot, right? In the meantime, because of COVID, I will glove up.
So Matt, would you have to defrost the gnocchi or?
No, that can go right into the water frozen.
Oh, really?
It actually is better
Fantastic.
frozen. It works out if you thawed it out overnight, but we flash freeze them and then vacuum seal them. So rip the bag open, drop it into some hot water. The sauce would come just in a container like this, and you drop that into a pot with a little splash of water to keep it from scorching on low, cover it up. 15 minutes later, dinner's ready.
Nice.
And if
Yes.
people have an immersion circulator, would you tell them, hey, do it at a very specific temperature?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We would love to do that. We had been thinking about whether or not there would be a stigma against people actually. Can you hear me over this?
Yeah.
We'd be wondering if there'd be a stigma against cooking in the bag. People get a little weird about it, even though it is something that's a pretty common practice in professional kitchens these days. But yeah, we would definitely give a couple of different options. One thing we brought up at our last discussion was we're going to try and put maybe a QR code or something on each one of our packages that will link to a quick video of us showing. I mean, it is easy. It's throw it in the oven. But maybe we want to give a couple of pro tips, right? It's a quick little extra garnish, how to plate this really nice. So maybe, if I'm a bachelor sitting at home, I'm just going to eat it right out of the container. But if I'm having company over, this can be a gourmet meal that you want to serve to your friends.
And
So
I
as
think
you're
the
doing
kids should
it-
be in the video, right? They're real dads.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
real
yeah, love it,
dads.
love
They're
it.
making dinner with kids crawling on them.
Yeah, I love it.
As you're doing this, I want to underscore something that Ron said. As you consider pivoting your business and telling your brand story, consider whether or not you want to keep the same name and whether the name really speaks to who you are as a brand.
Yeah.
And everything about your brand is going to be important moving forward to be able to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a discussion. We actually changed our name 3 years ago, so we just became No Small Feast. So
Really?
there's a little bit of a pain point when we're sitting there going, do we change the name again? We just dumped all this money into coming up with all of our new branding and everything. So I don't know. I think if we can tweak it a little bit, we've been playing around with a couple of different options, but I think No Small Feast with a tagline,
Yep.
because we'd still like to maintain, and when, not if, catering comes back and events come back, we still want to have that. And I think if we can then start to leverage one against the other, people recognize the stuff from home. Oh my gosh, that frozen stuff's amazing. We should hire these guys for our wedding. I think there's a much better synergy there.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up in a minute.
Gotcha.
And what I'm going to ask is you can keep cooking, and our experts will be fully wrapped. And if they would like to stay around and taste it, then we will gladly have them do so.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the benefit of the people who are online, Ian and Denise, I just want you to know that it smells terrible.
It's been driving me crazy since we sat down. It's been smelling great since we sat down.
Thank you, that's very kind of you. Otherwise, we would be extraordinarily envious.
Okay, on that note, I want to thank both our business owners and our experts for your time and your energy and your amazing ideas. And that is officially a wrap. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.